you discover who you are and you discover your inner power, you would know that that inner power is your God power, and you can use that power to achieve your every desire. But the biggest thing I want you to take away from what I'm saying is that you will come to know who you are. And when you come to know who you are, you would know that you're a spirit and you're having a human experience. You're not a human trying to be spiritual. That is why my topic today is gods don't have religion. You see, when you discover your God self or your Christ consciousness, all religion will disappear. For example, I grew up and was taught a certain religion, and that religion which I was taught to believe, it never taught me how to love and believe in myself. Instead, I was told to look on the outside for a Lord and a God and a Savior and a Redeemer to save and redeem me. But when I really learned to think for myself, I realized that I have the saving power within me, and I have the redeeming power within me, and that I am God in flesh, and I'm just having a human experience. So I'll never separate myself from God. And every religion on this planet wants you to separate yourself from God. So they want you to live in self-doubt and self-hate, self-denial, and so on. They don't want you to accept your higher self and believe in your higher self. So they want to disempower you from operating as a God, from living as a God. And to live as a God is to know that you are the generator. You're the one who generates ideas, goals, dreams, all the great things that have been accomplished in life. They were all generated by someone's mind. Therefore, man is definitely the generator. And even if you generate an idea, but you do not operate on it, then that idea will just remain an idea, but it wouldn't become a hard and objective fact. So you have to understand that you are the operator, okay? And you're also the destroyer. You're the only one who can destroy your thoughts, your ideas, your goals, and your dreams. No one else can stop you but you. No one else can deny you but you. So you are the G-O-D, okay? You're the generator, you're the operator, you're the destroyer. Well, my encouragement to you is to destroy all the negative and all of the limiting beliefs that you have that have not been helping you. For example, the beliefs or the belief that is being carried around by the people of Africa, which is the richest continent. The belief system that they carry around is what have them operating as if they are the poorest continent. So if you believe that there is some God on the outside who's going to help you, and all your life you are allowing the raw materials from your country to be taken out of your country and to be formulated into certain products to be sold back to you. What kind of mindset or what kind of thinking or what kind of belief system these people have to have to take their precious materials out of the earth and send it to another country to be processed only to make things to be sold right back to your own people? That doesn't make sense. And that's been going on in Africa for so many years. And the reason for that is because of their belief system. Many of these people believe that they have a sky daddy that is going to save them one day. Many of them believe that there's a mediator between themselves and the higher self, which is their God self, which you do not even realize the God self because they separate themselves from God. And once you separate yourself from God, you're lost. Once you separate yourself from God, you're blind, you're dumb, you're deaf, you're lost on this planet because all is mine. Everything have to first be mental, it have to be first psychological, it have to first be a thought, it have to first be an idea. So you have to lose your mind to believe in separation. Once you separate yourself from the divine, that is you denying that your real identity is your divinity. When you deny your identity, that is self-doubt and self-hate. When you deny who you are, there's no one who can help you. Many people fail to realize that the sin of blasphemy is self-doubt. When you doubt yourself and you fail to believe in yourself, you're a fool. That's why you're told that the fool says in his heart that there is no God, because you do not believe in your God self. You do not believe in your higher self. Instead, you believe in religion. You believe in something that has been set up by someone just like you. Do you realize that every religion has a book that they lead and guide you by? And do you realize that no book can be written and it wasn't first a thought or first an idea or first imagined? That is why in every religion there's a secret teaching. There's a secret doctrine in every religion. And only the 1% or few knows it, because it's always a language of symbology. Okay? So my brothers and my sisters, you must believe in your God self. You must accept your God self. And what do I really mean by that? I'm saying that there's a part of you that is very powerful. There is a part of you whereby all things are possible. There's a part of you that you can use to transform your life. So if you're living in lack, if you're living in scarcity, if you're living in poverty, you have a power inside of you that can transform your life from poverty to prosperity. You have a power inside of you that can transform your life from scarcity into abundance. And whenever you discover that power, you know that God and man are one, because you know that you are one with God. And you know that there is no name for this infinite divine power. God is just a name that they came up with, and they have many different other names. You have Yahweh, you have Jehovah, you have so many different names, because no one don't really know the name for the power. All they know is a power. There's an intelligence. And I'm saying when you use this intelligence wisely, you would realize you can use it to create your reality consciously, and you can become a deliberate. Yes, you can become a deliberate and a conscious creator. I can go back to things that I remember. And I could say, I remember when I set this in motion. I remember when I wanted to walk at a certain place. While that place was building, I was imagining myself walking there, put myself in the exact position that I wanted was to see myself there. And even when they opened that place, I didn't even know they opened that place. They had people who had walked in the position before me. And all the people who walked in the position before me, they were white people, because it was only the white people that was given that particular job. Okay? It was actually a job as a resort, as a fitness trainer there. Okay, but because I was using this power and I didn't realize it was my God power, I didn't understand at the time how I got the job and so on. But to cut a long story short, I end up and I got the job and was working there for a certain time. And it inspired me also to write a book called Bukument, the Result and the Messenger. Okay, because it was my first experience among people who are not of my race, and to see how they just think and treat people of our race. Okay, and at the time I didn't even realize that I born and grew up in a colonial country and that I was given a colonial mentality. Okay, because I've always been thinking outside of the box since I was a little boy growing up. Because since I was a little boy growing up, I asked myself, smote in my chest, I said, who am I? Who am I? With tears in my eyes, I asked myself, who am I and who is God? Okay, and I said, I have to find out who am I for myself and find out who is God. And I'm telling you the honest truth. When I found myself, I found God. And when I found God, I found myself. And that's why I will never separate myself from God. I'll never believe in any God in the sky. I will believe in God in me. I am saying there's God in you and God in me. The intelligence that is here leading me and guiding me is the same intelligence that is in you, leading you and guide you. And that intelligence can create light or darkness. It can create good or evil. Well, I'm telling you, you have a mind and your mind can create good or evil. So if you think that if your mind is good, then that is God. But if it is evil, it is not God. It is because you lack the understanding of balance. It is because you lack the understanding of the law of polarity, the law of opposite. If you look around, you see that there's a law of opposite that is operating and no one could stop it. No one could change it. It doesn't matter how much the preacher goes on the pulpit and preach against LGBTQ. They will always be here, and the reason for that, it is because of the law of opposite. You can't have a good woman without a bad woman. You can't have a good deal without a bad deal. They'll make no one fool you. You have to accept the law of opposite. You can never have night without day. And you can never have day without night. So when you are brainwashed and you have a religious and a superstitious mentality and you do not know who you are, you'll all be praying and begging and beseeching some entity outside of yourself and denying your God self, your higher self, your imaginative and creative and innovative self. And you get yourself tied to what? Religion. You never have a religious mind. What it means to have a religious mind? To have a mindset whereby you're just repeating everything that you hear other people say. It is called parrotism. I remember when my ancestors initiate me to bring a message to humanity, they warned me of parrotism. But then as I grow and I evolve, I realize parrotism is in the school system and the church system. So basically they say repeat after me. So you're repeating everything that you hear your teachers say in school. And you believe that. That's why they convince you that you can have a different father than your biological father, and they could call him stepfather. And the whole world believe that. Okay? When women were given a virgin seal, and instead of they were taught accountability for the virgin seal, they were told that they could lose it and they could make a child for a man and then another man could step in because that man is of a lower value. Because he's a low value man and he can't do better. Because deep in his heart, he wants a woman that never even have any children. And they convince you all with that. So my brother and my sister, you can believe a lie for so long that you believe that it is true. You believe for so long that there's a man in the sky looking down on you. And you have a sky daddy who wants to punish you for everything, but he loves you. And because you were taught that since you was a little child, they make sure they penetrate your subconscious mind, infiltrate your subconscious mind from a youth to believe that you have an angry master on the outside. And so you never learn to master your mind. You never learn to understand that you're the master of your own destiny, because it is your own thoughts that creates your reality and creates your personality. And so you focus on everyone else except yourself. And you believe that everyone else needs to be changed except yourself. But my brother and my sister, I'm saying it's time for you to redeem yourself by accepting your God self, accepting your higher self, which is your creative and innovative self. You see, the more intuitive you become, the more you would accept your oneness with God. The more creative you become, the more you will accept your oneness with God. Do you realize that we are all self-made? But only the successful people will accept that we are all self-made. The people who would not accept that they're self-made and the people who are not doing as good as they want to do in life, and so they are blaming others instead of blaming themselves. Because why? They lack the understanding of the law of cause and effect. You see, I've been sharing with you the law of opposite, which is the law of polarity, and I've been sharing with you also the law of mentalism, but now I am sharing with you the law of cause and effect. You see, once you understand divine laws, infinite laws that cannot be changed by anyone, you will realize that the judge in the courthouse, he have to abide by divine infinite laws. You will realize also the lawyer and even the person who's been tried, the plaintiff and the defendant, everyone still governed by these infinite divine laws. So when you learn the law of cause and effect, then you will understand why you have to accept that God and man are one. For God in man is man's awareness of being. Man power to imagine, man power to form and shape and mold and to remold. You have the power to give life, you have the power to take life. You know that? You have the power to create. But instead, many people use that power to worry and to fret. It's how you use the power. The rich man, the poor man, the beggar man, the thief is one mind, but how you use them is how you use the mind. So the one power is mind power. Tell me if I know another power. If there's a God power, tell me if a God power outside of mind power. And how you can tell me you're not using your mind? Do you realize that word is a thought express? Do you realize a word is a thought express and every action is the expression of a thought? Do you realize that? When you realize that every action is the expression of a thought and every word is the expression of a thought, then you will realize every religious book, and doesn't matter which religion, it is thoughts being put together. So it all addresses the human mind and must be understood metaphysically. It must be understood, esoterically, psychologically. Okay? So my brother and my sisters, learn the power of your mind and understand the law of mentalism. Because if you do not understand the law of mentalism, you wouldn't know how to direct your thoughts. You wouldn't know how to cultivate positive and innovative thoughts each and every day. You wouldn't understand why you're told that you must say you're rich, even though you're facing results that says that you're poor. So you say, let the poor say, I am rich. And let the weak say, I am strong. It is saying, don't let the outer circumstances of life determine the way you think about yourself or the way you see yourself. Many of these things have been happening in your life because of past ignorance. But when you realize it was ignorance, you're not going to let those results stop you from going in the path of self-realization, in the path of light, in the path of illumination. You've been illuminated. You've been enlightened. You come to realize how much you do not know. And how much your parents' didn't even know also. So my brother and my sisters, there's no need for you to tie yourself to some religion. Okay, you are God. Accept your God self. Believe in your God self. Gods don't go around begging and beseeching. Okay, it took God power to create the banks. It took God power to create the credit unions. It took God power to give us the automobile. It took God power to give us the telephone. It took God power to help us to use electricity in a way to uplift all of humanity. The Wi-Fi we're using, everything, all these things, they were discovered by someone with an open mind, someone who was willing to think outside of the box. So if you're listening to me, my brother, my sisters, depends on the way how you grew up and the belief system you grew up with. It might be hard for you to accept that you are God in flesh. You might not refer yourself as to yourself refer to yourself as God. And just to show you something, right? I would have had conversation with many people who believe in secular Christianity, and I will ask them a certain question, and they will say, okay, they are a child of God. I've asked them to explain to me how you could become a child of God, but not God. Because the child of a dog, you call a pup, but that pup must grow into an adult dog. The child of a goat, you may call a lamb. No, you may call a kid, sorry. The child of a goat, you may call a kid. But a kid have to grow up into become an adult goat. A sheep, you will call a lamb, a young sheep, you call it a lamb. But a lamb doesn't stay a lamb. It grow until it become an adult sheep. So if you're a child of God, when are you going to grow to become God? You cannot be a child of God and not be God. Don't make no one fool you or brainwash you. He say, if you're going to know God, you have to know God in spirit and in truth. The only way you can know God in spirit is when you accept yourself as spirit. The only way you're going to know truth is when you find the truth within yourself. The only way you're going to find life is when you find the life within yourself. The only way you're going to find the way is when you find the way within yourself. Everything exists in consciousness. Everything exists in your awareness. If you don't speak, God don't speak. If you don't see, God don't see. If you don't hear, God don't hear. If you don't smell, God don't smell. And God wants to have an experience as you, and He wants to enjoy that experience. But He had to fall in a place of death, which is a place of amnesia, which is a place of forgetfulness. So until we fall into that place of forgetfulness, until the intelligence fall into a place of forgetfulness, you will never, that intelligence will never be able to morph itself into this experience being in a body. That's how life and death becomes the same thing. One is an entrance and one is an exit. It's the same thing. Your entrance and your exit is the same. It's a door. It's a doorway. It's a portal. You can go and you can come. It's the same thing. So, my brother and my sisters, life itself is that intelligence. There's nothing higher or greater than life. Let me run that again. There's nothing that is higher and greater than life. God is life. Life is God. And you are God having a human experience. The life in you is what enables you to have this experience. The body is only the house. This body is not you. This body is not you. Do not identify yourself based on this body. This body can change. Yet the immortal body still lives on. There's a mortal you and an immortal you. There's a visible you and an invisible you. That is why you can dream at night. Who is the dreamer? The dreamer in you is God. Let me run that again. The dreamer in you is God. That's why you can do anything in your dream. You can appear and disappear in your dream. You can go through walls in your dream. You can do anything. You're a superhero in your dream. You can fly like Superman in your dream because you are Superman. All these Marvel characters represent the power that is within you, and they display it in the movies. And many people are reading the language of symbology. So they look at the movies and they think it's entertainment when it is a message, a hidden message to you that you are a superhero, that you have superpowers. But for you to operate in your superpower, you have to accept who you are. You have to accept your true identity to be your divinity. You're a divine being. You can have and be and do whatsoever you want to have and be and do in this world. The choice is yours. You've been given a choice. Okay? But you must master the law of mentalism. Okay? It's very important for you to master the law of mentalism. Understand how the mind works. Understand the law of cause and effect. Understand the law of polarity, the law of opposite. Okay? So for example, the religious system will always tell you this is cult, this is occult, and that is occult. But the religious system will never tell you that they are cults. You can't have occult and you don't have cults. Okay? And occult just means that which is hidden. So that which is hidden, they don't want you to know what is hidden. So they tell you don't have anything to do with the occult, because they make you already have a certain mindset about the occult. So you're afraid of the unknown. You're afraid of things that you don't even know of. Why should you be afraid? Gods are not afraid. So once you realize that your identity is your divinity and you are a divine being, and everything that could be said about God can be said about you. If you realize everything that can be said about God can be said about you, because it is words, and words is expression of a thought, and every expression of a thought comes from the mind, and words are frequency, because your thoughts, they are vibrational frequency, and everything vibrates, and everything is based on energy, vibration, and frequency. Then you will understand, to use your God ability, you have to understand how to transmute energy into matter, how to take the spirit and transmute the spirit into the physical, three-dimensional, material world. So everything is spiritual. Money is spiritual. Having a mansion is spiritual. Having lovely things in life is spiritual. Money is very much spiritual. It's a flowing, living currency. And you have that flowing, living currency in you. You are electrical and magnetic. That is why you have to learn to attract money instead of chasing after money. That's why gods don't chase after money. Money chase after gods. And that's why gods don't have religion. Because religion is control. Mind control. Okay? As I said earlier, and I will say it again, every religion have a book. And no book could be written that wasn't first a thought, or first an idea, or first imagined. So every religion is competing for your mind, to control your mind. So Islam will compete for your mind by telling you that Christianity is wrong and they are right. And then Christianity will compete for your mind by telling you that Islam is wrong and they are right. So everyone is competing for your mind. The Baptist competing for your mind. The Methodist competing for your mind. The Jehovah's Witness competing for your mind. The Seventh-day Adventist competing for your mind. And every one of them going to create after their own kind. You can't plant pumpkin and reap watermelon. You can't plant mango and reap watermelon. You can't go to an Adventist church and come out a Jehovah's Witness. It don't happen like that. Every seed is reproduced after its own kind. Therefore, whatever seed been sown in your subconscious mind to be religious and superstitious and to hold to a religion, that is what you will bring forth. That's why gods don't have religion, because gods are limitless. They are not limited. I realize that there's a part of me that is limitless, a part of me that can do all things, that even while I am asleep, that part of me is conscious. So if while I am asleep, that part of me is conscious, then consciousness have to be the only reality. It means that consciousness can't die. Woo! Consciousness is forever. That's why I am an eternal being. And this in me, this part of me is temporal. This part of me is carnal. But there's a part of me that is not temporal. That's the invisible me. And that is the part that I'm referring to as God. So for me to say that I am God, having a human experience, is not blasphemy. Don't vex with me because I discover my Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is the only reality there is. That is why you will never see no religious man who could turn water into wine, literally speaking. I have a book by that name. Go and get it. How to turn water into wine. I have a book called by that name. There's no preacher that can ever turn literal water into wine because it is not a literal story. It's a story concerning your mentality. It is a story concerning alchemy. How you could transmute your energy into the equivalent of whatsoever you desire in this physical three-dimensional world. Because everything was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. In short, I'm saying to you that thoughts become things. And that we become what we think about most of the time. Do you remember when you set a certain thought in motion and then you reap the harvest, but because your memory is so short, you can't remember? Let me give you like an example. Let's say, for example, you leave school, and while you were going to school, you was doing a little bit of accounting in school. And then when you leave school, you know, you wanted a job, and you sit down and you think about becoming an accountant. You meditate upon it. You visualize. You see yourself being an accountant. And then a series of events took place in your life and you became an accountant, but you never really remember how it happened. So if you grew up being religious and superstitious and going to church every Saturday and Sunday, and you believe what your parents told you, you're going to believe some man in the sky grant you your request, not knowing it's a science you're using. So you're using the science unconsciously. So I am teaching you how to use the science consciously. Okay? And when you understand this science, you know that it is your mind that is creating everything that you are experiencing in the outer three-dimensional physical world. Okay? So all is mind. Okay? This whole universe is mental. Okay? We are living in a mental construct. And so you're beholding an illusion and believing it to be real when you can actually bend reality to your will. So my brother and my sisters, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, because you're the cause of everything that's happening in your life. There's only cause and effect. Okay, you're God and you're having a human experience. Okay, you're not a human trying to be spiritual and seeking for some man in the sky. There's no man in the sky that's gonna save you. The one that's gonna save you is within you. That's why you have to learn to believe in yourself. You have to learn to trust your intuition. Let me run that again. You have to learn to trust your intuition. Your intuition is your inside teacher, your inside guide, your true Lord and Master. And He's been speaking to you morning, noon, and night, and many people have been missing it. For example, the sun have been coming back each and every day. And yet people are looking for someone to come from the sky to save them. Whenever you wake in the morning, you wake and to behold a rising of the sun. You're waking to behold the dawning of a new day. Yet, in the evening when the sun begins to set, you are going down while the sun is going down. You're going to bed, you're going to sleep. You're going into a state of unconsciousness. And then you're going to tap back into the real world that you came from. The world of spirit. The world of thought. A world whereby we travel by the speed of thought. Do you know that you can travel by the speed of thought? You see, we live in a world where we are given passports and fake nationality. Okay, and people believe that because of fake nationality and passport. Okay, but the real passport is in you. You can close your eyes right now and you can put yourself in Europe. You can put yourself in Asia. North America, South America, the Caribbean, Central America, just by closing your eyes and contemplating upon those countries, which mean the geographical location is within you. So you're the real compass. You're the real navigator. They use these navigating tools on the aeroplane and so on to go to the destination. But do you know that is within you? Do you know all of these things in the plane and everything? It was for us a thought, it was for us an idea, it was for us imagine. Therefore, my brother, my sister, you are the real magician. So when you find your God self, you find your magical self. And you know that you're a magician. And when you talk about God, you're talking about the great magician of all times, which is the great power from since the dawn of time. It's mind power. There's no other power. You go way back to whichever age, Stone Age, you name it. It goes back still to the mind power. And there have always been the haves and the have-nots. And they will always be. It can't change. You can't change divine infinite laws. Laws have been governing humanity from ever since. You can't change them. But you can change yourself. Okay? So religion is to make you think that you could change the laws that governs all of humanity. That's what I'm saying. Real gods don't have religion. We have what? Self-realization. We know that true salvation is self-realization. And redeem ourselves by coming to what? Memory. Because why? We're born here in a state of forgetfulness, a state of amnesia. You can't remember anything when you are a month old, or 3 months old, or 6 months old. You can't remember anything when you are 9 months old, or 12 months old. There's nothing you can remember when you were even 15 months old. Why? Because you're born in a state of forgetfulness, you're born in a state of amnesia. So when you come to a place of remembrance, you come to a place of self-realization. You will realize how much you do not know because you are an infinite being. And you will keep knowing and 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 knowing. Then you will know that real education comes from within. That's what education means, to draw out from. And so you realize that a real educated person on this planet is a person who knows how to get whatsoever they want in this world. I'm not going to sit down and worry and fret myself because of tariff. And I know how to get what I want. I know how to vibrate. I know how to meditate. I know how to have a shift in my life. I know how to bend reality to my will. I know that thoughts become things. So why should I worry? Why should I fret about what a freaking politician is going to say? You do realize that these men who come up with the idea of tariff and all of these things and to widen the gap between the haves and the have-not, do you know that these people had to get your energy to do it? Your God energy, you have to give them it by an X. Do you know the X represent Christ? Yeah. Your X represent your Christ energy. So you get your Christ energy by marking an X. Why you think Malcolm X? Malcolm Christ. Why you think Elon Musk will follow Malcolm? Because Malcolm was before he, Malcolm X was before he, calling his Project X. Christ power them a use, man. And you giving away your Christ power, your Christ consciousness, talking about some man coming from the sky and some man 2,000 years ago with blonde hair and blue eye. So coming to save you. I remember back in the time of the big pandemic in 2020 to 2022, people in the islands, in the Caribbean islands and so on, was praying and calling on Jesus, you know, and they had loan and mortgages at the bank and the credit union, and I laughing and I say, look, they don't know that these people already have a whole record about their life, where they're working, the credit and everything and all of that, and they saying they could rebel. How are you going to rebel? When they say you either come and do the job, you either take the inoculation or lose your job. Right now they have the Prime Minister of my country in court for the same thing. Okay, and they're not going to win because they keep throwing it out the court and this and that and that and that. How are you going to win the system? You can't win against the system, but you can win when you learn to have a shift in your own life. When you learn to believe in yourself, you would win. When you learn to trust your intuition, you will win. That's how you will win. When you start to learn to love and believe in yourself and embrace yourself. Okay? So my brother and my sisters, you're God. Accept your God self. Never deny your God self. Never separate yourself from God. Okay? Someone here asking what's my name. You can send me an email if you want to reach out to me. Okay, the links are all in my description. You can check out the links in my description. Okay. So if you're listening to me and what I'm saying, if it really makes sense to you, if it really resonating with you, and you would like to learn how to really use your God power, or to prove what I'm saying when I say that you're God in flesh, and you can kill, okay, you can make alive, you can wound, you can heal, you can create darkness, you could create light, okay, you could create riches, you could create poverty, you could create anything that you did in this three-dimensional world. If you want to learn more and put it to the test, I'll definitely encourage you to reach out to me for a one-on-one. You can reach out to me by email, or you can reach out to me on an app called Faithia. Okay, that link down below also. Also, you can read my books. Okay, they're available on Amazon. You can get How to Turn Water into Wine. Your mood is your fortune. Spiritual recipe for better living. Also, you can get The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. In that book, I tell of my experience of the birth from the skull, the birth from right here. That's how I know the lie that the religion have been giving you, telling you a woman lie on her back and she spread her legs and she gave birth to a child and she was yet a virgin. No, that's not true. Okay, it's the secret of a man giving birth. I have a lecture on that on Amazon Prime also. Okay, and I have the book, The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. Get it, and you would realize that you can give birth to your brainchild. You would realize that there isn't only one way to give birth. There are three ways you can give birth. You can give birth in the physical, in the psychological, and in the spiritual, which means you could be impregnated in the mental world, and also in the spiritual world, and also in the physical world. You see? So you will give birth. And I want you to give birth to your goals and your dreams. These are the things that the great inventors knew. These are the things that the Henry Fords knew about. These are the things that the Wilbur and Orville Wright brothers, the Wright brothers, those who invented the aeroplane, these are the things that they knew about. Okay, Nikola Tesla, all of them, they knew about these things. And so they hide all of these knowledge down to the ages in their different fraternities and so on. But I'm saying to you, my brother, my sisters, the secret is within you. So it doesn't matter what they hide from society. Okay, once something is in your DNA, it's only a matter of time before it erupts. So if you do something in your life, like take good care of your body, get good clean water coming from the earth, always be hydrated, you always practice meditation, visualization, if you always finding a quiet place to be and be in positive self-talk, if you do all of these different rituals and practices in your life, you discover what I'm talking about, because you become more aware. And the more aware you become, the more enlightened you become. And the more enlightened you become more knowledgeable. And you become more knowledgeable about who? But self, yourself. Self-knowledge is power, self-knowledge is key. That's why I'm saying, my brother, my sisters, religion will rob you from your God self. Real true gods don't have religion. I would never be a religious and superstitious man, though I was born and raised in religion, okay? Because where I come from, the educational system also is mixed with the religious system. So at school, you have to do certain rituals, okay, religious rituals in the morning, at noon, and also in the evening. They make sure they program you in your formative years when you're a child. So it's very hard for people to escape from such program. But when you have someone like myself escape from the program, is to tell you can escape from the program. It's never too late for you to unlearn and relearn and reprogram your subconscious mind for greatness, to discover that you are God having a human experience, and that you can create your world whichever way you want it to be. If there was a man who came up with the idea of having Disney, okay, he created his heaven and earth. You could create your heaven and earth too, okay? Don't make anyone think that you can only do it if you're from a certain race, or if you born and grew up in a certain country, you can do it. No, you can do it anywhere, because there's only one universal power. There's only one universal power, and it's been used by all. So my brother, my sister, that power is mind power. How are you going to use your mind to be the best version of yourself? It's up to you. But I'm saying to you, if you are raised like me to believe in secular Christianity that's pointing you to look outwardly, I'm telling you, stop doing that and start to look inwardly. Focus your energy inwardly and be open-minded. Be willing to learn new things. Be willing to grow and expand in life, and to be a better version of who you are right now. Okay? Because you can definitely change your life from lack and scarcity to abundance and prosperity. Okay? And live your life whichever way you want it to be. Okay? Create your heaven here, man. Don't wait for the afterlife. Don't make no one fool you. Let me end here by saying there are two thieves on this earth that is competing for your mind. One is promising you a good life while you are here if you will give him your energy. And the next one is promising you a good life after you leave here if you give him your energy. Both of them working together to compete for your mind, because it is called church and state. They work together, and they are crucifying your imaginative, creative, innovative power, the power to imagine and to trust and believe in your imagination, which is God in man. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I can go on and on and on and on. But I want to say to you, if you want to get more in touch with me, I have the links down in my description. Okay, I would definitely like to work with you. I like to do a one-on-one with you. I like to mentor you, teaching you about this power, because I didn't know anything about this power until I had the board from the skull, right from right here. And that is what enabled me to put the book together, The Secret Vagina Mystery of the Virgin Birth, and all the other books that I put together. Okay, that is what enabled me to write The Black Mystic from Ethiopia, Never Got a Mentor too. Okay, so I had the experience of the promise before I know anything about the law. Okay, everyone is using the law, but when it comes to the promise, I am telling you, okay, that's when you will wake up from the dream of life and you know that you're God having this human experience. So with that being said, my brother, my sister, I can go on and on and on, but I want to thank you very much for listening to me. And if what I'm saying, if it really resonates with you, I want you to become a doer and not just a hearer, because I want your testimonial saying that you are proof for yourself that you are conscious and deliberate creator. And you can say to me, I remember when I set this thing in motion, and 1 month later, 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, I had the experience of knowing that my thoughts have become things. I had the experience of knowing that something that I imagined, it became a hard and objective fact in this three-dimensional physical world. Therefore, I know all I have to do is raise my vibration to attract the reality that I desire in this physical three-dimensional world, because I am God having a human experience. And that is why, as a God, I do not have religion. Instead, I believe in self-realization. I'm searching to find myself. And for those of you who are still searching for yourself, the fact that you are here on this frequency, it means you're on the right path. I was on that same path, searching for myself, and I did find myself. And I found God. God and I are one. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I want to say peace. I'm out.